is but one issue for us as a people, and that is for us to be recognized, right?
Right.
Hey, Grant.
By this government and of the earth, because we surely not recognized as black, Negroes, and colors. And as Moors, we are trying to get the government to recognize us. They have recognized us, but we still scattered in our own diversity. So it says there's but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth. And that comes only, he used the word only, through the connection of the Moorish divine and national movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all of the nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens. So what is that saying? He's saying in order for you to get recognition dealing with this movement, you got to come through the Moorish divine and national movement, which is incorporated. Now, a lot of Moors think that when the Prophet incorporated, he did it up under the 14th Amendment. No, he didn't. When he set the movement up, it was under common law. And then you got to understand, how does one be recognized through the Moorish divine movement in the government? You got to come with your paper trail. That's how they're going to recognize you, because anybody can go to a temple, get a card. The card's supposed to be your nationality and identification card, but you only get a nationality card. You don't get no ID information on it. You just get the information about your nationality.
Right.
Then the thing is that suppose the temple is defunct or you done lost your card, then you have no proof of anything. You see what I'm saying? So that's why the Moorish National Bureau of Vital Statistics was established back in the 40s under the instruction of the reincarnated Prophet Gibbonsville. And Dingwall brothers went into the military, and the reason why the military, because the military is our protectorates. Just like during the time of emancipation, which the Moors don't realize that they made the Emancipation Proclamation permanent parts to the Constitution, but you don't see it. Because if you did, then we wouldn't be in this dilemma that we're in. But yet the law is still the law. We just don't know about it. So in the 40s, they went through the military because they was our protectors. Because when we were set free, when we were supposed to be colonizers between the Rockies and the Allegheny Mountain Chain, they established what was called the Freedmen's Bureau Act. This bureau was set up to protect us and give us the provisions that was necessary for us to sustain ourselves as a people. And they protected us when we started building our communities, because it wasn't just Rosewood or Black Wall Street. We had several communities that were thriving. And the Europeans got upset about it. They were jealous of us. And Rutherford Hayes, after Johnson's demise, the powers that be, the conspirators within the Congress, devised a plan. They said, well, they met with Rutherford Hayes, and they told him, they said, look, if we make you president of this government, your commitment to us would be to take the troops out of the South. So he became president, and that's what he did. He took the troops out of the South, which was our protectors, and that's when everything reverted back to the Ku Klux Klan and all the hanging and lynching and everything else. So we still don't know that the military is still our protectors, because see, when you go into the proclamations in January the 1st, 1863, Lincoln Executive Will, this is what it says. I'm just quoting it. It says, the executive, the military, and naval authority, they are to do what first? Recognize us, maintain us, and do no act or acts to repress us in any effort we making for our freedom. You see what I'm saying? So now, by the Moors not understanding what this is all about, you hear a lot of backlash about, oh, the Prophet didn't bring no naturalization, the Prophet didn't bring these proclamations. The proclamations ain't law. The 13th Amendment, 20 sections is a law. And they don't have a clue on what the Prophet movement was all about or what it's dedicated to. And when you read the Prophet's plea to a nation, he was very pointed about what he meant the movement is dedicated to. He said that the members don't understand what the movement is dedicated to. And then there was a paragraph in it when he said that everybody has to apply to this free National Republic of the United States of America. So how does one apply? When you deal with this warning, the Prophet made us aware of the 13th Amendment back in 1928. Now, this is the more science of it. The science of it is this. when you go to the next to the last page of the warning, I was just on a radio program yesterday, and they gave us so many great ratings because they never heard this information. And this is the third time we was on a radio program, and they're bringing us back next month. And the program manager came from his office. He said, "Man, you was just awesome," because they never heard it like this. So anyway, when you go to the next to the last page, the second paragraph, and he says, "Through your free national name." Now, a lot of Moors think your free national name is Emancipation. No, it's not. That's your titles. Your free national name is Moorish American. And how do you determine that? You go to the previous page, the last paragraph, when the prophet says, "I love my people and I desire their unity," Then he said, "If Italians, Greeks, English, Japanese, Turks are forced to proclaim their free national name," so he's letting you know that your free national name is stemming from the country that you're coming from. And if you coming from China, then your free national name is you Chinese American when you come in here. So quite naturally, ours is Moorish American. So the thing is, okay, so it says, I'm sorry. I just said, "Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live." So if you're a black, Negro, or colored person in this government don't recognize you as a human being. So why do you think these other countries are going to recognize you? Because one thing, black is an adjective.
Right.
It's not a noun. So when I talk to people, I say, "Give me the noun of the people who call themselves black." If you go into an early edition dictionary and look up the word black or more, you're going to see your adjective, and then you're going to see your noun. There's only one human race, but it's subdivided into two groups, just two. You're either Asiatic or European, but what they did to the Asiatic nations, they put the adjective on us and said, "We brown people, we red people, we yellow people, and we black people." So the Chinese would be also related to yellow people. You don't hear no Chinese calling themselves yellow Americans, do you?
Of course not.
But here we are saying we black Americans. But when the prophet say black according to science means death, we got to understand what kind of science he's talking about. He's talking about political science.
Right. Civilly the more too, civilly dead in the eyes of the law.
There you go. So then you tell us the word white. White means purity. Purity means God. God means what? Rule of the land. So you mean to tell me you don't want to be white? It's the essence of the word. It don't have nothing to do with pigmentation.
Right.
It's status. And we are the rulers of the world. We are the white people. Because we the gods of the planet. Even the dollar bill that you have two symbols, the pyramid and the eagle. That pyramid is to the left because we the creditors and they the debtors. But the thing is, the reason why it's on a $1 bill and it's encrusted in 13 is because that represents our godliness. We the house of the gods. Wherever you go on the planet, you're going to see pyramids. But see what they did? They encased the eye within the pyramid at the apex. And the eye should be above the apex, not encased. When it's encased, that means they still got us closed in. They got us boxed in. And the reason why that is because this government still owes us an obligation of our freedom that we don't have a clue about. And just like if I asked you, brother, I said we can all attest that at some point in time we was enslaved. And the Civil War ensued. We fought in this war and we became free. Then the question would be, then what's the law that freed us?
The Emancipation Proclamation.
Huh?
I said the Emancipation Proclamation.
Well, that's part of it. But you got to still explain. You just can't say the Emancipation Proclamation because there were 4 proclamations. You see, they don't teach us about the initial Emancipation Proclamation of September 22nd, 1862. That proclamation dealt with the colonization and the compensation. And then you had the December 1st, 1862 proclamation, which was Lincoln's second annual address to the Congress, which is the compensated Emancipation Proclamation. You don't know nothing about that. They don't teach none of that. And then you have what is called the January 1st, 1863, that proclamation, and in conjunction with the September 22nd, because when you read the January 1st, 1863 proclamation, it alludes to a date, September 22nd. You don't see that proclamation. That's the one that's called the initial. You don't see that one. And anyway, see, the Emancipation Proclamation freed us in the southern states. It didn't free us nationwide. So then you take that back to Act 6 of your divine constitution and bylaws. Act 6 that's the master degree in that divine constitution and bylaws. Why is that? Because in Act 6 there's 5 tiers of law in it. The morals don't teach that. And to show that it is the master degree, when you look at the prophet, he's in the doorway of all those acts.
And he's
on the square, which is the 9. And his right hand is pointing where? To Act 6. So when he made reference to the fact that he made us aware that we lost our birthrights in 1774. 5 years later, they marked us in 1779 with what? Black, Negro, colored, etc. And then he said slavery lasted until 1865. So what happened in 1865? That's what we got to know. Well, April the 9th, 1865 was when the Civil War ended, when we surrendered to Grant at the courthouse in Athens, Virginia. That was the Civil War. But 1865, totally, when they ratified the 13th Amendment with 20 sections on January the 31st, 1865, 3/4 of the states ratified the 13th Amendment with 20 sections, not the 13th Amendment with 2 sections. That's where the conspiracy sets in. Because when you look at Section 1, all this making reference to is neither slavery nor involuntary servitude. And people think that when they use the word slavery, then that freed us. No, it didn't. You need to take the time and go into Black's Law and look up the word involuntary servitude. It's going to tell you something.
Right, because there's voluntary.
Huh?
I said because there's voluntary as well as in case of a crime, during conviction of a crime.
But where does it say slave has been abolished and you've been set free? If you don't say it, then there's a cloud there.
Right.
There's a haze. You understand what I'm saying? It has to make, the wording has to be in the amendment in order to be enforceable. That's why we're all up in these jails today, because it's involuntary servitude, and it said except for a punishment of crime. But see, then going back to this warning again, I'll show you how the prophet did these degrees. He eliminated, okay, like when I continue to read this, he said that all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government which they live. The 14th, and check this out, the 14th and 15th Amendments brought the North and South in union, placing the Southern, which was at that time without power, with the constitutional body of power. See, when the Southerners came back, they didn't have the power because they just come back. But the prophet said the 14th and 15th. So what are these amendments and how does it apply to us? That's what we got to understand. The 14th Amendment deals with your citizenship and your civil rights. The 15th Amendment deals with your voting rights. Now, something's wrong with the 15th Amendment when it comes to us, because every 10 to 20 years they got to pass legislation just to give us the right to vote. They don't do it to anyone else, so why us? Something wrong with this picture. So then, continually reading, it says, the free national constitutional law that was enforced in 1774. So we got to know, what is this free national constitutional law? Do you know what it is?
The Free National Constitution of the United States of America. Am I correct?
Yeah. I'm asking, do you know what it is?
That was the...
and listen, check this out, and listen to what he's saying. He said the free national constitutional law that was enforced since 1774 declared all men equal and free. So what constitution is that? When he said the free national constitution, what law is that was enforced since 1774?
Just say no.
No, no, I don't know.
Okay. The free national constitution, my brother, is the first 7 articles, which is the Moorish foundation, because we were the majority of the founding fathers, but they ain't gonna teach this. And it commenced with the Articles of Association of 1774. The Moorish president was Peyton Randolph, and then that matured into the Declaration of Independence of 1776. Further matured into the Articles of Confederation of 1778, and then it becomes a more perfect union in 1787. So when you go back to the preamble of the Constitution, it says, we the people. So we got to understand, who are we, these people? It was us. And see, the Union is older than the Constitution, but they make us think that the Union was just 2 political entities. The Union represented the North, and the Confederacy represented the South. But the Union is older than the Constitution. This government was already We already had a government here when the Europeans came. We brought them into our house and made them a part of it. That's what made it a more perfect union, because it had to be a union prior to before it become more perfect. So at the Continental Convention of 1787, it was 35 Moors, white men, and 20 Anglo-Saxon white men, but it should have been 50 Moors, but only 35 came. There's a book called Indian Giver by Jack Weatherford, and there's a chapter in there called The Indian Founding Fathers, and they're going to confirm what I'm telling you. But nevertheless, we don't know about this history. So those first 7 articles and your free national constitution starts with the Articles of Association. This is the Union. Actually, the Union is older when I say it was older, because this whole Western Hemisphere was governed according to what is called the Great Law of Peace. It wasn't states at the time; it was all territories, and our people were inhabitants of this land base. And there was no such thing as an American Indian, because all these so-called Indians, that's another mark of slavery. You have a circle. You got the left side of the circle: black, Negro, colored, African American, Ethiopian, etc. Then the right side of the circle, you got the word Indian. So when we agreed to the term Indian, which we really didn't agree, they put that on us too, because they made law out of us being Indians. That completed our fall. All these so-called Indian tribes are Moorish descendants, you see, because Indian who say they're Cherokee, Navajo, or whatever, they tribal names. And I talk to these people, I say, well, give me the origin of your tribe. Then that's when the signals go up, because they don't know. But see, the prophet gave us a bullet point about all of this in Act 6. The 5th tier of law in Act 6, the last 3 sentences is the 5th tier. When he said the Moorish Americans are descendants of who? The ancient Moabites, who inhabited what? The northwest and the southwestern shores of Africa, right?
Right.
But we looking across the water. If I say, brother, we come out of Africa, you looking across the water. If I say, brother, we come out of Egypt, you looking across the water. We don't know that this part of the world is northwest and southwest Africa. Brother, do you know North America is upper Egypt of the west, South America is lower Egypt of the west? You understand? Like the Bible itself, the Bible, when the prophet teaches us that our religion is what the old time religion, that's the Old Testament. And that Bible, that Old Testament was all on this side, and 90% of the New Testament was all on this side, not over there.
Jalil.
Ancient Jerusalem is in the hills of Peru. Jericho is Brazil. But they ain't going to teach us none of this stuff. So now, getting back to the warning again. When the prophet taught us, and he said that your free national constitution to be free and equal, since the constitution had never been changed, there is no need for the application of what? The 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of what? Our people and citizens. He didn't say the 13th Amendment, he said the 14th and 15th. So the science is, we got to look at this 13th Amendment. He did not say that wasn't applicable to us, did he? My brother, did he?
No, he didn't.
All right. But the question is, which one? The one that they teach us about is not the one that Lincoln signed off on, my good brother, because nothing in there gives you nothing about your freedom. It don't say you're free. It don't say slavery has been abolished. So when you go to section 19 of the 13th Amendment with 20 sections, which is the real law that freed us, you'll see that slavery has been abolished, and voluntary servitude shall never be tolerated except for a punishment of crime, and we are forever free. Not just free, but forever free. You understand where I'm going with this?
Right.
And then the Moors going to say, oh, there ain't no 13, 20, da-da-da. But I ask them one simple question. Then what law freed you? Because I'm going to box them in either way they go. Then I ask them another question. If you say you're a citizen, then what law make you a citizen? They don't have a clue. Oh, the prophet did this. I said, well, show me where the prophet made you a citizen. Now, he make reference to citizenship on your nationality card when he said, I am a citizen of the U period, S period, A period, Prophet Noble Drali. And see, these Moors got that all confused. They say that USC, but they bring it together. They say USA, Unity, Allah, Salvation. That ain't got nothing to do with none of that. When you see U period, S period, A period, that takes you back to we the people. And the prophet brought us back that way. When you go to Act 6, the second tier, when it says we are part and parcel of what the set government said means before. He's taking us back. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't mean to be carrying you too far because there's so much I'm saying. Yeah, I got to give you a chance to marinate on what I'm saying.
About our homes not having to pay for and our schools. Asking about that.
Okay, the home. What about the homes and the schools that we don't have to pay for?
Well, like I said, there were provisions set up for us through the Freedmen's Bureau Act, and it were 4 bills. And even what I actually on our website, if you go to our website, go to resources where the Moore School of Law and History site is. When you hit that icon, and when it opens up, you're going to see a book called the Orientation and Naturalization Book. It's 132 pages of information. All the proclamations are in there. The 1320, the Hebrew law that they laid the foundation to set us free, and the oath of amnesty and reconstruction. And when you read the oath, that's where you're going to find out about how we're supposed to be paying for our homes or our education, because they're supposed to be providing for us for that. All that's in the provision of our freedom, which we don't know nothing about.
Talk about the license plates. Asking about our license plates.
What about the license plates?
What about me? Our license plates?
Yes.
Well, I mean, we already okay. Everything I'm saying to you, not telling you what I think, feel, believe, telling you what I know, because we've done this through the State Department, the Federal State Department, State Department here. We got communication from Homeland Security. We got the only Moors case in the nation that's confirming what I'm saying to you, and it's a precedence case for all Moors across the country. The military confirmed all. Like I said, man, the Moors don't have a clue what this is all about, but this is a national side. So the license plates, we submitted our certificate of motor carriage to the United States State Department to confirm it, and which they did. So what does that mean? And you got a lot of these Moors riding around here with these tags, and they getting locked up, right?
Right.
But they never registered nothing. They just created something on their own and just went on out here and said this or that. But we established the Morse National Bureau of the Morse National Transportation Department. So we got our own tag. We just haven't implemented them yet because we don't have the staffing, to do the things we need to do. But yet, it's already been confirmed. So it's up to us when we get the resources. We already got the registration, the tags, what they look like, and all of that. The whole department is laid out, dealing with the structure and everything. So I'm just saying, we ain't gonna have these problems because, number one, the government has already confirmed it. We've sent the communication to the Attorney General here, letting them know that when we do this, there ain't no confusion because you already know, and you have not said we wasn't doing nothing wrong or you didn't understand because we made that clear in our communication to you. If you need clarity, then get back. But this is how we're going to be rolling, and this is the deal. The charter that we have supersedes everything in this country. It's the highest charter in the land. It's the numbers 1099. You see, the Pope have to submit to this charter, but nevertheless, the Moors don't know about the charter. They don't deal with it. And then plus, we're not a 501c3. We are the only profitable organization in the whole Moors paradigm. And it's all predicated upon the proclamations of Lincoln and the 13-20 section of the Prophet's Authority. So that's what it's all about. But like I said, there's more to this. And going back to the proclamation, the Liberty Bell is very symbolic to us, too. I'm sure you've heard Martin Luther King said that he had a dream that one day we're going to reach the promised land and as a people, right?
Right.
So the question is, who are these people that he's speaking to? Because niggas ain't going to meet and go nowhere. Black folks ain't going anywhere. And then he said that this promised land, so where is it? And who made the promise to whom? That's what we got to know. The Creator made the promise to Abraham because we in the royal house. We the families of the royal guards. We are, but we don't know that. So the Liberty Bell is symbolic of it. It's a map. The crack in the bell represents the Mississippi River, which is just an extension of the Nile River. When you turn the bell upside down, and they call it Egypt of the West. And it lies between the Rockies and the Allegheny mountain chains, which consist of over 22 states. They call it Egypt of the West, the great body of the Republic. That is the promised land that we were to inhabit because the Creator promised Abraham through his seed that we will always possess the land. I can take you into Bible scripture and validate all of that. Because, see, this is Egypt of the West, all of North, South, and Central America is the land of Moab, but the people don't know that. They don't know that. So, Moses died over here. The laws was given here. You know, oh man, it's something. It's really something. So, but the first thing we got to understand that we've been home all the time. So that's why when they freed us, they used the Hebrew code to do it. And they said that was the only remaining law to resolve the whole slavery institution. So why would they have a Hebrew law for a bunch of Negroes? Because they knew man descent nature don't change. What you was 10,000 years ago, you still that today. Well, so you'll see your nationality is validated according to genealogy, and your genealogy is validated according to your descent nature. And even your free national name, Moorish American, is validated according to your title, will, and bait. You see what I'm saying? So all this ties in. And on that bell, there's a divine inscription, Leviticus 25:10. Why is that? Because the Levites were the lawgivers for the house of Israel. And that inscription deals with the possession and the family. It says this: ye shall hallow within the 50th year, proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof, and it shall be what? A jubilee unto you to do what? To return every man into what? His family and his possessions. So the question for us would be, who's our family and what are our possessions? I just told you about the possession, deal with the promised land, dealing with the constitutional folk, the process we got to get back to. And constitution, that's the land that we were to inhabit, because it was promised to us, and that's our possession. And Noble Israeli is the only man on the planet who brought us what? Our nationality and birthright, and brought us our flag. Ain't nobody else do that. So all that's in Act 6. But see, we got to know what happened in 1865. We got to know what state government means. We got to understand scripture, biblical scripture, because history in the present is deep in the past, and history in the past is deep in the present. We live in ancient Babylon all over again. Sodom and Gomorrah, that's what it is. So, anyway.
Ask him about your son.
So, if I go through the nationality classes, how would that affect my child? My son, he's 6 years old, so he's under.
Well, as a parent, so is the child. Just like, I don't know how old you are, but see, everything is done through the birth certificate, which is a straw man. Now, I would like to say, your parents, I guarantee you, if you look at your parents' birth certificate, you're going to see either black, Negro, or color on it to identify you. So as a parent, so is the child. Now, they've gotten wise to what we're doing and teaching, so now they don't put your racial identity on your birth certificates anymore, but they still got us coded. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, the Moors have a certain code. There's 3 codes for us. We got 463 for Asiatic, 667 for Moor, and then you got 225. You got 125 for Moroccan. You understand what I'm saying? So we got them coming and going. And see, this is a paper government, and wherever you go, you got to fill out a form. And I'm gonna tie this back to your question about your child. Then once you straight, then you got to get your children straight, because they still a part of you. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, we have all this process in place. As a matter of fact, I got to do a live birth declaration for one of the numbers so they can take to the hospital. You know, but anyway, because your birth certificate is a monetary bond, and they sell you all around the country because you're child of property. You're not even a human being. You're a stateless person. Your wife don't belong to you. Your child don't belong to your husband. See, when you get married under that man's authority, and you give that certificate back to the court, then you state property. That's why if you discipline your child and bruise your child, they're going to get you for child abuse, and they're going to take your child and lock you up. Why? Because you state property. That child don't belong to you. You understand what I'm saying? You think so, but no, it don't.
Right.
No kind of way. But we don't know this hidden piece. So they're going to continue to enslave us. And then check it. If the prophets made us aware that slavery lasted until 1865, now we fought a Civil War to get from under this dehumanization of black, Negro, and colored, etc., right? So why to this day we still living the life accordingly? Something wrong with that picture. The South was winning the war until Lincoln emancipated us. We fought for our freedom, my good brother, and we won that Civil War. And the turning point of the war was Gettysburg. 7,000 of us died in a half hour at Gettysburg. That's why France gave this country the Statue of Liberty, because we won the Civil War. But they ain't gonna teach us this. And the original Statue of Liberty was a sister, and she had chains on her. And when they delivered that statue here at Ellis Island, when they saw that, they said, "Oh no, we can't show that." So they have them to take it back and reconstruct another Statue of Liberty, which they got in Ellis Island as we speak. That's not the original. If you go to the Stromberg Museum up in New York, then that's when you will see the original Statue of Liberty. But they ain't gonna teach about this history, man, at all. You know?
Right.
So now, you gotta look at the fact that this is a paper government. And nothing gonna change until you change. So the thing, that's why we have the paperwork that we give. So once you get it, then if you're working, you gotta give it to your employer, because you're going to be a conversation piece morning, noon, and night. Because when they see the paperwork that we have, which they've never seen before, because all these other our folks not on this page, they still up under the Civil Rights package. We ain't there. We dealing with your humanistic, natural right here. You see, because even when you deal with the 13 number 20 section 1, this is dealing with this tie you back to the First Amendment. The First Amendment gives us our religious freedom. But the section 1 of the 1320 says we have the right to worship God according to the dictates of our own consciousness. See, we not on our own consciousness, we on his. You go into our homes, all you see is Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, and Jesus. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they knew good and well when they got here, this whole Western Hemisphere was Islamic and it was matriarchal. And they brought Christianity to these shores. That's why Kunta Kinte didn't want to lose his name. Because he knew once he lost his name, he was cut off. And now he's no longer Kunta Kinte. He's Toby Jones. And so if the slave master's name was Jones and all his slaves were Jones, if he was a Baptist in the church, then so was his slaves. That's how that worked. Hold on for a minute.
Sure.
Stop the recording.